So I'm feeling particularly burnout today, which means I'm going to try to tackle 3 things. I've been thinking about negative self-talk, which is something I think everyone experiences, unless you're super, narcissistic or something, which then this video is not for you. Negative self-talk is a huge part of, my life, and though I have some really great moments where I'm awesome at being positive, especially for other people or trying to help them see the positive, I get caught up in a lot of negative thoughts, and I thought I'd share some of mine with you. I thought it'd be really funny to do a little skit of having some person saying something and then another person being like, this is what they really think. But obviously I don't have the time or capabilities to do something like that right now, so I wrote some out and I was just going to go through them. Something like a friend or my husband saying that they can't find something, and then what I think inside is, will you help me find it? It'll take me so long that I'll give up if you don't help me. So then I feel like I have to help them find something when they're looking for it themselves, and it's just like an obligation. Like anytime someone says they need something, I automatically think, how can I help them with it? The kitchen looks so good clean. What I interpret it as, you should clean the kitchen more, which is totally not how my husband has meant it in the past. He's complimenting how clean it looks, and I immediately take it to the negative side and assume that I need to just clean the kitchen more, that it's just another little input of something that I need to do. Let's do something you want to do. And the way that I interpret it is, I'm just being nice. So I'm just being nice since we don't have the same interests. You're being negative, which I interpret it as, I don't like the way you think. Or you, for that matter. Another one is, this is so good, if they're giving me a compliment, and then I take it as, I like it because I like you, but if I didn't know you, you probably wouldn't. They probably wouldn't like it if they didn't know me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. You're so funny. And then my response is, have you experienced humor? Because I really don't find myself funny. Someone, if they say I'm so unhappy, my immediate internal response is, oh no, I need to help them feel better right now. How can I help them? What can I do for them? Will they talk to me? If they'll open up to me, should I listen to them and try to find out what's wrong? All these little questions just start popping up in my head of, what can I do to help this person? Doesn't even matter if they're a complete stranger. I just go straight into, I need to help them fix it mode. You're beautiful. I hear, I care more about your looks than who you are, because to me, external beauty has absolutely no meaning compared to internal intentions and values. And so when I hear someone calling me beautiful, I think that they think that who I am as a person doesn't matter, even though that's not what they're trying to give me a compliment, and I know that's not what they're implying, but it still makes me feel that way. Something that tasks that I know that I can do faster / better, which starts to sound really cocky. For instance, my husband offers to do the dishes, and my response is, no, I'll do them. And my thought process is, oh, I can do them faster and more efficiently, so I'd rather do them so I can spend time with you and spend time with you sooner and longer and not have to do the leftover dishes after you're done doing them because there will still be some left. So, yeah. A lot of, because my love language to other people is acts of service, it's just like, I'll do it. I want to do it. How can I help you? And it's just this constant, like, dialogue in my head. Um, so, and then another thing is if I'm talking to someone conversationally wise, if they talk about themselves and then I respond with like reflection and thought about what they said, and I try to like discuss some points that they've made and like make it about them and then input a little bit about me at the end, and then they change it right back to what they want to talk about without even acknowledging what I have to say, then I'm like, you're just wanting to talk to hear yourself talk. So I guess I'll just listen and I'll stop inputting. And then that turns into me being really quiet during superficial conversations. And because I feel like my input doesn't matter. So I'm not going to waste my time trying to come up with input or trying to put effort into a conversation if you're not even listening or interested in listening what I have to say. Like, it's wasting my time and yours because you don't care what I have to say. So then people are like, you're quiet, and I'm like, I'm not actually quiet. I'm just like realizing that there's no point in trying to have a conversation with you. So, if you are talking to an INFJ and you notice that they're being really quiet, try just asking what they think or just giving them a moment to compose their thoughts and showing a genuine interest in what they have to say and not just saying they're being quiet. Because believe me, they're thinking something. I don't really like broad compliments, like, you're a good mom, which is a very nice, well meaning thing to say, but it makes me feel it's so generalized that I like specific compliments that imply that I'm useful or helpful. So being specific, like, you're great at encouraging your kids, or you're great at teaching your kids this subject, or I don't know. I feel like specific compliments really go a long way more than generalized compliments. I like things being personalized, I guess. So some of that was, I don't know. I feel like I'm being like highly critical, and in a way I am, and it's, I guess, frustrating for the other party who either is trying to pay me a nice compliment and I brush it off and they're like, just take the compliment. But that's my some little insight into how I think. Next up, I should probably split this into 3 sections, but I'm not going to. I took that whole negative self-talk and I went to the internet and I found an article written in June through, it was published through introvertdear.com, and it's 12 signs of an unhealthy, underdeveloped INFJ. And I thought they had some good points and some points that I think were not necessarily harsh, but not exactly true. Which, yeah, we don't take criticism very well. But I'm gonna try and see or express like my reaction to it. One, they let other people walk all over them. And in a way, yes, like, we're definitely people pleasers and we will definitely go above and beyond for people, but I feel like we do draw the line. It may be too late and we may be stressed out, but at some point, like, we won't, like, I don't know, we don't let people walk all over us until we're like 1 foot into the grave. I don't know. Maybe someone who's really, really underdeveloped, but I honestly, I don't know. And then everything they do has to be perfect. I think we can acknowledge that it's not going to be perfect, but we do obsess over details. And I do agree with what they said about at work, they read an email 6 times before sending it to make sure there are no mistakes and that the tone is just right. And I agree with that completely. I will spend like 20 minutes composing a response to a YouTube comment. I take a lot of, not necessarily pride, but I enjoy really thinking out my responses and trying to make sure that they're like the best possible. I don't know. I do overthink stuff like that. But I know it's not going to be perfect. We're so negative that we, like, I don't know. They door slam too easily and hold grudges. Will slam the door on important relationships without first trying to resolve the root issue. I actually had a recent experience with that with a longtime friend that I had a lot of stuff building up that I hadn't discussed with her in length, and I just shut down on the friendship. There is some truth to it. I feel like we compile enough reasons in our head to finally slam the door, and I don't think we slam the door with just one issue. It's that we let a lot of issues pile up, and then we think that we can't resolve that number of issues. So I think our main issue is that we need to work out them as they appear or happen instead of letting all the different things pile up. I like, most of the time when I've shut the door on someone, it was for good reasons. It just took me a long time to do it. But I will admit that the most recent time that I slammed the door, I was in the wrong for slamming the door, even though I didn't think the friendship could be salvaged. The way that I did it was really hurtful to that person, which I have already talked to that person about. They have yet to master the art of saying no. If it's to help someone, probably, especially if they're unhealthy. They let toxic people, narcissists, and other emotionally needy people run their lives. I wouldn't say run their lives, but affect their lives in a negative way, definitely. I had a roommate who totally took advantage of how caring and helpful I was, and it was a very bad, it ended badly. At least it ended, but yes. I did let a lot of toxic people into my life, and that is something that I have worked on, removing those toxic people in a healthy way. INFJs may find themselves unconsciously dating or befriending toxic people in order to save them. Yeah, I did that when I was younger. They become so involved with other people's problems that they can't focus on their own. I think it's that we try to ignore our own problems, and we make excuses that at least we're helping someone else when we think our problems are a lost cause. They rarely let anyone in. I would say that's true, and they say unhealthy INFJs rarely share their true thoughts and feelings with others because they feel being judged by their significant other, family member, or best friend. And there are a few people that I do trust, and a long time ago I would not talk to people and be honest with them about my feelings because I didn't think my feelings were important. They put their type on a pedestal. They become so carried away with the fact that they are the rarest personality type that they start believing they are superior to other types. This is one that I completely disagree with. If you feel superior to other people, you're not an INFJ. Just point blank. we care so much about other people. We may get frustrated with the injustices of the world, but I don't I don't think I've ever felt like superior to other people just because of my personality type. I may be frustrated with someone's like violence or their their intelligence, but on like I don't know. I think INFJs are usually humble, but I don't know. That's what do you think? I personally don't think INFJs would do that. I don't know. They use their personality type as an excuse to continue unhealthy behaviors. They believe they can't change themselves or their lives for the better because of their 4 letters. I think we're always trying to improve ourselves. We're super negative about ourselves, but we're always striving to improve. That's the whole idealist thing coming into play. They don't let their emotions speak, suppress their emotional side. Yes, I've noticed that I suppress my emotional side when other people are emotional because I feel like I need to be their lifeboat, and so I ignore my own emotions, and that's when I start to get overwhelmed. And I noticed that some people are saying it's super important to journal, to express our emotions, to take that time to acknowledge our emotions, and I completely agree. Though it's one thing to say it and it's another thing to do it. They are extremely passive. INFJs are natural observers. They love sitting back, analyzing and reflecting. They're chill in groups, and they're fine with letting other people have their way, but that can lead them to be too passive. These INFJs may lack a sense of control over their circumstances. Life is something that happens to them. And I think any personality type, life can just turn into something that happens to them rather than them living their own life. We are passive in certain regards with decision making if it's not important to us. If it's something that's really important to us, I feel like we stick to our guns and we do like express what we want. And if we're comfortable with the people we're around, we are more outgoing in that regard and less passive. But I mean, I can see it, especially in like uncomfortable situations or with people you don't know, being too passive. Okay, so that was the article. Those are my kind of thoughts on it. There was a video made last month by Behind the Science. I am not a huge fan of Behind the Science. They have some interesting points, but the dialogue is very grammatically and just like sometimes just super incorrect. The thoughts are just super weird, like it's written out by someone whose English is not their first language, but it's like truth peppered with just not truth. I don't know how to express what I'm thinking now. I'm like getting super tired. But they have almost 7,000 views in the past month, and they had a lot of people who are saying, oh, this is so me, and talking about, it was almost worded the exact same way except they had 20 reasons. And I just wanted to say that they talked about INFJs not being good at arguments and just giving the reason it's good or it's bad or just because I feel, not being able to justify their intuition, just saying I feel that way. And I think that we do have trouble composing our thoughts enough to give good logical reasons, and we can come up with those logical reasons especially via written word, but having to argue in person is very difficult for us, and then we kind of just resort to, fine, I feel this way, you feel that way, I don't want to have to try to justify myself anymore, because we don't like that. We don't like arguments or conflict. Immediately disliking people for reasons you don't understand. I disagree with that. I feel like we can come up with legitimate reasons. I don't know. My parents have accused me of disliking people without knowing them. But I can say, hey, they brushed me off, they smiled and said hi, but then they went off and did their own thing, so obviously they aren't interested in getting to know me. Just like I can come up with reasons. They may not be good reasons for my parents or whoever, but I don't know. I feel like we can at least come up with some justification for not liking people, whether you like it or not. Get extremely down when something bad happens to them, but doesn't care if injustice happens to someone else. Might feel bad for a moment, but doesn't do anything about it. I disagree completely. Yeah, I disagree completely. When injustice happens to someone, if I am capable of stepping in, I do. And I think most people in social situations don't. And I'm not saying that INFJs step in all the time, but for them to say that they might feel bad for a moment, but don't do anything about it. Like, that would, I don't know, I feel like that was very critical for INFJs when that's kind of something that a lot of people don't step in for social injustices. And I feel like INFJs are capable of stepping in, and that we do. We may not do it in every situation, and that's something that I think we could work on, especially if, I don't know, if we're underdeveloped. But the way they worded it just really rubbed me wrong. We worry about unimportant details. Yeah. And ignore logical decisions for emotionally driven ones. I'd say I acknowledge the logical and then I'm in turmoil and have difficulty because I still want to choose the emotionally driven choice, but I know that the logical one still exists. So yeah, we ignore it, but I want to just say that we do acknowledge it first, usually. So yeah, I mean, you could argue that someone who's really underdeveloped has these traits, but I don't know. I feel like I disagreed with a lot that this article and this video had to say, and so I just wanted to put my thoughts out there, and I made a crazy long 22-minute video as a result. So, let me know. Do you have negative thoughts? Regardless of what your personality type is? Positivity seems to be the main response to the whole negativity thing. So, next time someone says you're beautiful, say, thank you. But do you like me for my brain?